Hello, it's Jen, and this is another episode of Lobotomy World. I don't know what episode we're on. I think 25. Wow, that's a quarter of a century, isn't it? That's like 25 hours. That's over a day of my life dedicated to this podcast. Not even counting all the editing and everything like that. Because that would add on at least another couple of days, I'm telling you. How are you doing? Yeah, you're right. Good. I'm here in my pyjamas. Trying not to make a habit of this, but I don't know. Today's episode is intentionally so a lot more low key. I'll be honest with you, I'm recording this midweek. I don't usually do that. What I normally do is I'll record on the Friday or Saturday, and then I'll spend loads of time editing it to try and get it out on the Sunday. But I can't do that this week because, well, I'm not going to be in London, not going to be in my home over the weekend. I'm going to be in Manchester again. So if you're watching this now, I'm in Manchester. So I thought, well, I should do something midweek, and what I'm going to do is something a little bit different today. We're going to be reacting to a few videos and stuff like that because, people love reaction videos, don't they? They do. They like it. I was originally not going to do it even with me on the video, but I thought, no, come on, Jen, you got it's the podcast, you got to be on the video. There's certain people, they pay, this is what they come for. The sex appeal. I've just gotten out of the shower. Don't know if you can tell. I'm a little bit. I look kind of like I look like I've just got out of the shower, but you could say that I look like a little sort of kitten that has been dropped in a puddle. If you're just a listener, that's quite an evocative image for you. I'll give you some time to deal with it. Okay, that's enough time. But yeah, I wanted to do a kind of... I'm trying to make this podcast more interactive. I'm trying to make it more on the fly, kind of as little editing as possible. And I think having the ability to watch videos during it is a nice thing to have. It's a nice feature. And I think I've got a good setup now whereby I can do that live. And you know what? A lot of the times these podcasts are about the news, about what's happened in the week regarding trans news and LGBT things and, whatever's going on in my life. But this week has been a bit of a rough week. I think you'll agree. It's been a weird one. Since the death of my hero, Charlie Kirk, that seems to be all that anyone's talking about. If you didn't see, I made a whole video. Last week's episode was entirely about the Charlie Kirk of it all. And I thought, you know what, this week, because the news has been rough, we're getting the blame a lot for things. I don't know if you know, but the shooter, apparently they're saying had a trans girlfriend. And he did it for her. Again, I don't know the details yet. I'm gonna try not to comment on it, but I thought for this week, let's just, let's do something a bit more fun. Yeah, a little bit more silly. And I had a couple of recommendations come up to me in my YouTube algorithm feed. The kind of digital monster that lives within all of our computers in the mainframe, which feeds us recommendations. So we slowly start to lose track of who we actually are and the things we actually like, and instead are tricked into thinking that we like videos about people eating cheeseburgers in cars, which now I do like those videos. But I didn't at the start, watching food reviewers eat Big Mac in a car. Originally, I just was like, that's stupid. But then, the algorithm recommends it to you enough times, And then suddenly you're like, oh, I like that now. That's now who I am. And luckily for me, that only happened with food reviewers. Whereas for some people these days, that seems to be happening with far-right extremist content. So I got off lucky in a way. But that's not to say that it's still not traumatic. You know, you should see my search history. It's just I reviewed this burger in this car. American reacts to burger in van. I ate 50 chicken McNuggets in the back of a taxi. I haven't seen that one, but that's if you're a food reviewer or a food vlogger or whatever, that's a good idea. You can have that for free. Anyway, listen, this video popped up and I thought I'm going to have to watch this. And I've also compiled some similar videos if this one gets boring. This is a 1977 news special called Parents of Gays, First Homophobia Network Broadcast. So this is claiming to have been a broadcast, I guess, about homophobia. And I'm watching this on the Wayback Archives. Shout out to Wayback Archives on YouTube. Here we go.
Chances are someone you know is a homosexual, even though you may not be aware of it.
Now that is a terrifying way to start the episode. Chances are someone you know could be a homosexual, and there's no way you would ever know. Quite progressive though, you know, it is true. Most people back then probably thought that, you know, just they all minced around and, you know, had little handbags and were going, "Oh, matron." So that's good straight off the bat. Alarming, like there's an alarming tone to it. Kind of like, do you know where your kids are? It's that kind of thing, but I love her hair.
Conservatively estimated that out of every 20 women, one is a lesbian.
1 in 20 is a lesbian. I think she's right. That is quite conservatively estimated. This is 1977 though, which is like 50 years ago. So they didn't have all the facts yet. As we now know today, 10 out of 10 women are lesbians. And that's statistical fact. You can look that up on the Bureau of Information YouTube channel.
There are even more male homosexuals, 1 out of every 10. Doctors don't really seem to know.
Wait, what did she say? What was it? One out of how many women? And
there are even more male homosexuals.
No,
Conservatively estimated that out of every 20 women.
Oh, she was claiming 1 out of 20. What's the figure now? It's like, is it 1 out of 3? I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. I'd prefer to live in mystery. Some things you just don't want to know.
1 is a lesbian. There are even more male homosexuals, 1 out of every 10. Doctors don't really seem to know what causes homosexuality.
Doctors have yet to find the gay gene. Doctors have taken many blood tests and done many autopsies and still can't figure out what makes a person a gay.
Though most agree that once sexual preference is set, usually by the mid-teens, little can be done to reverse it.
That's the thing, you got to get in early there. You know, if you suspect that your child might be of the homosexual persuasion, you've got to take them to sports games. You have to let them drink beer, even if they're only 6 years old. They have to start small quantities, and also get them a subscription to Hustler magazine.
April magazine has found out that
or April magazine, whatever that is. I don't know if she's April or if this is just a magazine show that they only put out in April. If so, why do you need 11 months of the year to prepare? It doesn't seem like that much work has gone into it, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Mom and dad are often the last ones to know if their son or daughter is gay. Imagine yourselves the parents of a college boy who grew up in a small town on the coast of Maine.
Okay, I'm going to imagine that now. Imagine myself that I am a parent of a young boy in a small town in Maine. What's the Maine accent? It's like Stephen King stuff is set in Maine, isn't it? So it'd be like, well, I'm just really enjoying living in Maine, being straight. Me and my husband just love living in Maine and being straight, and we're so happy to have a boy who is not one of those homosexual kids.
You receive the following letter from your son.
Oh, Benji left us a letter. Shall we read it together as a family at the Christmas dinner table? I can hardly wait. I bet it is a letter to say how much Benji loves his dear old ma, and he's thankful for all of the things that I did for him in his life, making sure he always had meatloaf or pork chops on the table.
Mom and Dad, this is difficult for me to say, and I am sorry that I am doing it in a letter, but it is much easier for me. I am a homosexual.
Wait. You're what? You're homeschooled?
I am sure that you have had doubts in the past.
Did you say you're homosexual? Homosexual? Oh, Steve, our boy's a homosexual.
But hoped that they were not true. You may be repulsed, sickened, or just sad. There is nothing that we can do. It is nobody's fault. Believe me, I am not a homosexual by choice.
When I came out, I also wrote a letter. I sat down in front of my dad and sister while they read the letter that I'd written. A letter is a great way to come out because you can say everything you want to say succinctly and not screw it up, because if you screw it up, you might say something wrong or you might start backpedaling. But the letter, it's all there in black and white. Comic Sans. And I put a couple of clip arts on there too, like this one. But unlike this one, I put in my letter that it is your fault that I'm trans. I said, dear Dad, this is going to be really hard for you to hear. I'm trans and I blame you because you didn't let me drink beer when I was 5.
Choice. Life would be much simpler for me without it. I have gone through hell for the past 10 years.
If that's him, I have to say, he doesn't look gay, He looks like Chuck Norris to me. And yes, there are certain films, I call them stag films, where you might see a gay man who looks like that, but I would say generally, stereotypically, I don't know. Although his beard is very well groomed. It's like he's gone for scruffy, but it's not, it's intentional. And his hair looks incredibly clean. His hair looks like it smells lovely. Oh, I bet he's a nice boy. I bet he looks after his mum.
I have always known about my sexuality, but could never tell anyone. Now I have told you both. Take care, Steve.
It was 4 years ago that Steve Bull wrote that letter, while a student at the University of Maine. The youngest of 3 children, Steve was the type of son any parent could be proud of. Smart, athletic, popular, scholarships to prep school and college. Definitely the most likely to succeed sort of boy. But Steve was aware of something which set him apart from his friends, something he couldn't share with his parents.
What was the point at which you began to feel that you were, quote, different from the expectation that was made for a young man in Kennebunkport, Maine?
Well, there were a series of crushes I had on boys, and there was some sexual activity with boys.
He seems nice, doesn't he? He seems like a nice guy. Do you know what? In the 70s like this, can you imagine on television as well, like this, like the guts, the bravery they would take to, you know, do this. Like, it's pretty crazy, really, if you think about it. It's amazing. Even if he does look like Chuck Norris, in my opinion.
From when I was 7 to 14, and there were a growing awareness that that I definitely did prefer that I really preferred men sexually.
Did it scare you?
It scared me in that I had to hide it. I thought about it every day. It was a really big part of my life. It seems like every day something happened that said, oh, you know, you're different.
See, that's the thing, right? A lot of straight people, a lot of cis people, they don't really understand the trauma that can come with coming out. I don't really understand it in the context of the 70s. Must have been really difficult. But, you know, none of us really have a great time with it, do we? And it's like every day you feel like you're hiding something, right? Before you've come out. And that has like a residual effect, you know, it builds up and eats you away inside. And so some people don't get it, you know, and they're like, why do you have to come out? Why do you have to make a big song and dance out of it? Who cares? It's like, well, actually, quite a lot of people care, seemingly. And find me a queer person these days who, even today, who comes out without any grief. Everybody wants to weigh in on their 2 cents, you know? I never knew. Are you sure? It's not just a phase, is it? Are you mentally okay? You know, it's like, this is why. This is why people hold it back. Hey, I'm talking about the coming out, nothing else.
From these other people.
Every day, you thought about it every day.
Something always came up. If it was someone calling someone else a sissy, or a fag joke, or something written in the locker room, or just wrestling with boys when it, got to a point where I was aware that, oh my goodness.
Don't let your young kids do wrestling. Not because it might turn them gay. That would be fine. But because wrestling is lame. Just kidding. I think most people go through a wrestling phase, don't they? Kind of like, I remember when I was a kid, I tried to get into wrestling because everyone in my school was like, they were wrestling crazy. There was a real, in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, there was a WrestleMania, if you will. The Rock, Stone Cold Steve, Austin, I mean, and probably some other ones. Bret the Hitman Hart. I only know these names because of the fact that I tried to get into it. I had a friend and he lent me these VHSs that he had that were like the best of Bret the Hitman Hart, whatever. Jake the Snake. And I was like, oh, Jake the Snake. But no, it never really stuck as much as I tried to pretend. It's not that I knew it was fake. Like, maybe I didn't know it was fake. In fact, maybe if I'd have known it was fake, I would have had more of an appreciation for it, because I love artifice. I love a bit of drama. Do you know what I mean? A bit of soap opera. But at the time, it just represented to me as something that's just like, they like that. Hey, maybe one day I will get into it. I don't know. I saw that, like, at the Edinburgh Fringe, they do this thing now. It's like comedians wrestling. And I'm not really on board with that either. If there's one subset of people, one group, one community that doesn't need to be getting involved in any physical activity, it's comedians. Because one, they can't do it. They don't have any talents outside of telling their jokes or whatever. And two, and this is probably most important, most comedians are fragile weaklings. And listen, you're just going to hurt yourselves at the end of the day. And who wants to watch that? This is a bit of a tangent, but I do not understand comedians who always have to have like an extra thing. Like, you get this a lot with the things that they program on television. Back in the day, stand-up comedy was a thing that was like, it was on TV. You could watch it. Comedy Central or Channel 4 or even the BBC, you know, they would have stand-up comedy shows on TV. Nowadays, there always has to be like an additional element to it. So it'd be like stand-ups cooking food, or like stand-up, but there's also some sort of game involved. Stand-ups doing the robot dance. What about stand-ups doing stand-up? That's still something, isn't it? I mean, let them do what they're apparently good at. I guess they're not good. Maybe they're not as good at it as what they think they maybe are. I don't know. But at least get them to do something that's useful then if you're going to do that. What about stand-ups build a well in Africa? Stand-ups get a cat out of a tree. That would be better. Stand-ups go on a holiday. That one drives me nuts. Oh, it's the travel show. Is it? Seems more like an excuse for a holiday. What, maybe potentially one of the worst holidays ever.
I better stop.
Weren't you tempted to talk to your parents about it?
No. No, the closet is a very, very safe place, and the door is pretty much nailed most of the time. I mean, I saw my parents saying things. I saw and heard my parents talking about gay people, warning me not to get into cars with strangers.
This, I think, on a serious note, is one of the main reasons why a lot of queer people don't come out to their parents sooner or fear the reaction. And, no parent wants to feel like their child is scared, should be scared to talk to them or tell them anything. The parents want their kids to be able to talk to them about anything. But that's why you have to be kind of careful about what you actually talk about around your kids or say to your kids, because they're sponges and they take it all in, And I certainly remember when I was a kid, I remember my parents saying things about trans people specifically and gay people. There were certain gay people that were like, okay, if a gay person had achieved enough credibility in straight society, then it's like, okay. Like if it was George Michael, Gorgeous George, or like Freddie Mercury, for example, then it's like, okay, the guy wrote Bohemian Rhapsody. If he wants to be gay, he can be gay. Still, not having it in my house. I think my parents would have allowed Freddie Mercury to come over for a cup of tea, but he wouldn't have been allowed to have any cake. Cake's for straights.
And why, and that homosexuals or older men that were around school in the bushes that, waited for me to come out of the schoolyard and to lure me into the bushes. I mean, I was subject to the same stereotypes. And I wasn't about to say, well, I'm one of them too.
Naturally, we were shocked.
Floyd Bull is a traveling salesman for a large chemical corporation.
That, to me, sounds like a euphemism. Oh, you're a traveling salesman, are you? Is that Polari? Oh, I'm a travelling salesman for a large chemical corporation. Oh, get out, you Nancy. Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy, he's fooling nobody. We should probably watch. He might be very nice. Let's find out. I mean, he's agreed to do this documentary, so that takes something, that takes some chutzpah.
After we read the letter and then reread it and discussed it in detail, we sent him a telegram telling him that we loved him.
Oh, that's so nice. To get a telegram. I mean, the I love you part is nice too, but like, imagine getting a telegram. I've never got a telegram. I want someone to go, telegram. I'm not 100% sure what a telegram is. Let's have a look. I bet if I type Telegram, I'm just going to get that app, aren't I? Yeah, Telegram app. The app for people to talk to each other on who are up to no good, most probably. Just kidding. It's important that we have these things. Here we go, Telegram. A telegram is a written or printed telegraph message. Oh yeah, is it when they used to go and then they would it would write a message and then you would get that. It's basically like receiving a text but in physical paper form, I think. I'm guessing there's probably some central telegram bureau and you say your message maybe over the phone or something like that, and then they type it up and send it out. Maybe? I don't know. I'm old. I'm 35, but I'd say what, I'm not that old. I'm not old enough for telegrams.
Wanted him to come to Kennebunk and meet us that weekend. And we spent, I think, 3 days, didn't we, Lynn?
Yes.
3 days discussing our lives and our background, his background and his childhood, and discuss any facet might have contributed to it.
Oh, they were trying to get to the bottom of it. They were like, is it something we did? Something we said? Was it, did we feed you the wrong cereal? You know? Should we have been giving you cornflakes and not Cocoa Pops? Because Cocoa Pops have clearly done this. They turn the milk brown. The gay milk.
I'm telling you, we covered 22 years in 3 days.
And I just felt a surge of feeling for them. And although they had a lot of hesitation.
Still, I would say it is nice that they reached out like that. You know, I'm sure for the time, a lot of parents would have just been like, you're out of this house. I mean, it still happens now, but I think it was probably more socially acceptable back then to do something like that, to disown your kids. And that's really sad. Anyone who disowns their kids is a coward. Even if their kid did something reprehensible. Still visit them in prison. They're your kid. You had them. You know? Got to take some responsibility for them. I'm trying to think if there's an exception for that. Would there be an exception? I don't know. I don't have any kids that I know of, or yet, or yeah. You know, I'm gonna stand by that. Leave a comment below. What would be so reprehensible that you wouldn't visit your kid in prison? Write it down in the comments below. Come on, let's get a discussion going, guys.
There's a lot of doubts. I just felt like all of a sudden I could let this...
Don't do that. We'll do a nicer comment section. I don't want a comment section flooded with people talking about paedophilia or something, you know. Give me a break. I'll think of a new question for the comments. Just keep watching. One will come.
This whole bundle out on them.
Dr. Judd Marmer is...
Oh, look at this guy. I like the way he's sitting. Come on. Is he a gayologist in being gay himself?
Past president of the American Psychiatric Association.
More like past president of the American Homo Association.
When a child comes to a parent...
Rest in peace, by the way. This guy is most probably passed over.
And says, Mom, Dad, I'm gay.
It's always, Mom, Dad, I'm gay. It's never, Dad, Mom, I'm gay. And then the dad's like, yay, so am I.
The first question that a parent ought to ask himself.
I think the one thing that is most traumatic in this kind of situation is the tendency of parents to reject such children and to get very angry at them.
Okay, he's a king. So far, in my estimations, this guy's a king. But let's make sure he doesn't say anything insane, and then we can cancel him. Come on, let's cancel this old dead guy.
Or to feel guilty, as though, oh my God, I must have done something wrong.
Well, didn't they?
It isn't that simple. It isn't that simple. For example...
No, I'm cancelling her. Wendy, you're cancelled. What do you mean, didn't they? You're making this documentary.
The usual stereotype.
She's a queen, by the way. I really like how she's dressed. And I really like her general energy. It's like she's like out there, you know. She's trying to solve the mystery of what creates a gay. She's a gay detective. And she's dressed like Diane Keaton while she does it.
Type is that homosexuals grow out of families where there's a dominating, seductive, over-involved mother and a distant or rejecting father. But the fact is that a lot of heterosexuals come from the same kind of family background. And it's also true that many homosexuals come from totally different family backgrounds. So the role of the parents is not that clear-cut. I think the healthy thing to do and the mature thing to do is to talk to the child. Say, why do you think so? What's it all about? Tell me what you feel. And establish a kind of open communication that allows the child to talk about his or her feelings without feeling an enormous sense of guilt about it. That takes an extraordinary parent, but I think it's worth shooting for.
We both, together, went to a psychiatrist, discussed this thoroughly with him. He indicated to us, after he had met our son, there's nothing wrong with your son.
Flipping hell, that's great. It's sad that they feel like they need a medical doctor to tell them that, a psychiatrist to tell them that. But it is a different time. It was a different time. There was different ideas floating around. There, but by the grace of God go I. Yeah, I'm a Christian now. Deal with it. I'm not. I'm really not.
He's a normal boy.
Hot dog with everything on it.
I'm a Satanist. I am. This whole time you've been watching a secretly Satanist podcast. Hey, leave a comment in the description if you think this I should change the name of this podcast to the Secretly Satanist Podcast. Of course I'm a Satanist. Look at that doll. Of course I'm a Satanist. There's a Labubu on it. Hail Satan. I'm not a Satanist either. I'm not going to tell you what I am because that would be cheating. Okay, guess in the comments. What am I? What denomination am I of religion? And I'll tell you right now, it's not Scientologist. It's far more exotic than that. I don't have a religion. No religion is what I would probably tick on the census. But still leave a comment because, you know, videos benefit from that. When you leave comments, then they get shown to people or something. I don't know. And ring the bell and subscribe while you're at it. If you haven't subscribed, why the hell not? And also, there's a new thing on YouTube where you can, like, recommend a channel. Do that too. And subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. Get your auntie to subscribe. Get your pets. Make them a YouTube account. Get them to subscribe, because if they don't subscribe, well, I don't know what will happen. Something bad, probably. Something awful.
And a Coke.
He looked at the window and he said, it's out there. He said, it's society that has this homophobia.
That is so true, bestie. Okay, well, I'm gonna move on to another video now because this one's quite long. Maybe I'll come back to it another time. Let's watch something. Let's watch something trans related. Yeah, something trans related. So what's this one? This one is. This is from a YouTube channel called Archival Monroe. So thank you, Archival Monroe. You are the the best archivist ever. And this is called Trans Women in Gay San Francisco. Again, this one's 1970. So from what I understand, again, I've not pre-watched these videos. This is two trans women having a discussion. I would argue maybe inventing the podcast as we understand it to be today. Did trans people invent the podcast? Were podcasts an invention of trans women? I'll let you be the judge.
Job in men's clothing. No, you're too effeminate.
It's a bit quiet. I'm just going to boost it up.
You're a faggot. You're a sissy. You're this. You're that.
I'm going to boost it up a little bit more.
Men's clothing. No, you're too effeminate. You're a faggot. You're a sissy. You're this. You're that. So I said, well, groovy. So I put on the clothes I usually wear, which is girls' clothes.
Look at these divas. Honestly, they did invent the podcast. It's true. We did. They invented the podcast and I perfected it. So thank you, sisters. Thank you, Anne's. I was going to say ancestors, but how about ancestors? Has anyone ever said ancestors before? Go off, ancestors. Look at those gloves. She's so cunty. I love it.
I went out and tried to get a job as a woman. Yes. This doesn't work. You get a job, you work for a day or two, a week, a month, or whatever it boils down. Somebody comes along that recognizes you, who prefers to be a hooker and a tramp, turns around and turns your name into the boss and says, like, so-and-so is such and such, and that's the end of that job. So finally you reach a point where you get disgusted with the whole damn bit, and what you do is you turn around and you go out on the street. And you find out that you can make $100 tonight, and you say, well, the hell with it. Why should I be legitimate? Why should I be respectable? Why should I be anything?
Oh my God, she's spitting facts. She's like, I think this is a really quite sad example of like how, not to be too bleak about this, but like how little has sort of changed for us as trans women over the years. I mean, this is 1970, and what she seems to be expressing here is like, I'm trying to get along with mainstream society. I've tried it, you know. I've tried to fit in and do it, but like, it's hard. Why, you know, no one will let me. So of course I'm going to turn to like other means. It's depressing that we're still in a similar place, but God, if you can look good doing it, then, you know, I mean, she looks great. She's absolutely a star. She should, who is she? I wonder what her name is. She should be in the movies.
If society would let me live my life as I want to live it, which is as a respectable, normal, ordinary woman, period. Mm-hmm. I don't wear mini skirts. I don't run around with my hair sticking 7 foot off my head. And
yeah, she doesn't wear mini skirts and have her hair. Now that, listen, I'm just going to say it now. I think you should be allowed to wear a mini skirt. I get her point though. She's saying like, she's basically saying I'm not making a spectacle of myself. You know, I'm not rolling around on the ground and expecting, you know, she's just like, I just want basic dignity to be myself. And at the time they were like, how did they speak in the 70s? Like a kind of like grainy, like, well, I'm afraid you can't be yourself. Maybe that sounds a bit too like 50s or 40s. I don't know. Let's keep watching.
All the rest of the stuff that the queens do, which category that I'm classified in as being a common queen, period.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I cannot get away from it. No matter what I do, I'm put into this category. I'm labeled as this.
Again, not much has changed. I know that, you know, in some circles, trans women do have some acceptance as being trans women, but I think a lot of the discourse nowadays, the gender critical turfy discourse is like, you're just a gay man, you're just confused. It's like, honey, we're not confused. Don't tell me that this diva is confused. She's not confused. This bitch knows herself. And so do I.
So therefore, I went into the hooking. That was it. Yeah, it's that simple. Now, I'm not in a position where I have to hook anymore. I met a guy who understands what I am, who accepts what I am. He works.
I have that as well. I met a guy who understands what I am and he works too.
And I don't have to go out in the street anymore. I'm one of the lucky ones. I got off it.
Oh, what happened to the sound there? Someone's been doing your vocal exercises.
I came out here on the West Coast.
No, that's what happens with film sometimes, like the film speeding up.
I went to LA first, and well, I didn't like that particularly. You know,
the girl on the left is a queen, is a doll. Like the girl on the left is she passes, you know. She's like a stunner. A stunner. Like you like to have, listen, as a trans person, as a trans woman specifically, it's a real risk to get a pixie cut. I would love to get a pixie cut. My features, they don't really, you know, if I get a pixie cut, my head just looks big and it just does me no favors. But she's got a pixie cut, and God, she must be on a lot of illegal hormones. But God bless her. God bless her. Satan bless her.
Easterner, I like the northern climate more or less, and out here in San Francisco, it sort of has the same thing as New York does. Except
in the 70s, it was a legal requirement to smoke while on film. And that's true. You can look that up. Like, you had to have a cigarette, no matter what the film was, whether it was, you know, an interview like this, being used for God knows what, or a Hollywood movie. There had to be a cigarette in the scene at all times. Why? We're not 100% sure. They're still researching as to why, but God, it makes the shots look more cool. I've been watching a lot of old Dick Cavett interviews recently, and everyone's just smoking in the studio, and it's just a real vibe, honestly. If cigarettes didn't kill you, they'd be the best thing ever. If cigarettes didn't kill you, I would be so pro cigarettes. I'd have a cigarette sponsorship on this video. It'd be endorsed by Marlboro or something. Benson and Hedges.
Miss the snow and stuff, but other than that, it's about the same. And then, I think most important is that even though back east they're supposedly so cosmopolitan, and they're so, you know, old, they're just sophisticated, and they know the whole thing of what's going on in life, yet it boils down to they know so very little. Because out here we can more or less live our lives. There's very little harassment, really.
See, this is why trans women aren't allowed to speak on TV very often, because we're just too cunty. We're just too cunty, and we're just too sassy, and we just say libelous stuff. And that's why. It's not because of transphobia, it's because we're too cool.
Out here.
It wasn't too many years ago when I went to the grocery store once and got thrown into jail for being a female impersonator.
Oh, I love her. I love her. That's coming back, that is, I reckon. I reckon in my lifetime I'll be thrown in jail for being a female impersonator. Yeah, that's definitely coming back.
And I've never felt as though I was impersonating female, and I am a female.
Well, yeah, this is why I came out here, because you could do these things. In back east you could be it, but you couldn't do it. Out here you could not only be it, but you could more or less do it and get away with a certain amount of safety, as long as the police know that you aren't actually hooking and running the streets and so forth and so on. When they realize that we are sincere in our beliefs of going through the operation and becoming women, both physically as well as mentally, well, then they sort of leave us alone. They don't bother us.
See, that is very prescient, because it's like, I know that the way they're talking about it is a bit dated and all this kind of stuff. You know, it's a flipping archive video from the 1970s. But I think it really sums up why a lot of trans women do feel the need to physically transition. And I guess what I mean is medically transition, to have the surgery, and why these debates happen about, you know, authenticity and all this kind of stuff, you know, what we would call now as like true scum or whatever, although I don't love the terminology. I think what's important to understand with that is just that, like, it is true that society does take you more seriously if you demonstrate a level of, quote unquote, and these aren't my estimations, this is just what I've observed, a certain level of quote unquote dedication to it. I've written about this, and I'm not saying this is a good thing. It's just something that I've observed. It's like, to straight cis society, I believe that a trans woman has to atone for the crime of wanting to live their life in the way they want to live it. You know, society feels like they have to put restrictions on and hoops to jump through and things like that. That's why we have no like proper like self-ID and stuff, because they want the control over us. They want to be like, no, you have to meet our expectations of what a woman is, and then you can do it, right? But that's like a kind of a bait and switch, really, isn't it? What we've learned is that they set up all of these difficult processes like medical transition, or changing your birth certificate, or getting a gender recognition certificate, or physically passing, all these kind of things, in order to have authenticity, legal authenticity of womanhood. They line it up as if like these are things that you can do in order to be accepted, while not telling you that actually the truth is, not only will that not get you accepted, we will systematically work to take those things away, leaving us in a position where we feel lost and completely at odds with everything, because we have been misled or taken advantage of. And I genuinely feel that the only real freedom to be found is in our own community and our own selves and our own philosophy and our own existence, really. So yeah, that's an opinion, I guess.
They allow us to live our lives. We're back east. I know we couldn't possibly do this.
I come from a rather small town, a gold mining community, in fact,
Who does she look like? She looks like someone She looks like Cole Escola. She looks like Cole Escola. Not there, but she looks like Cole Escola in Amy Sedaris's program, At Home with Amy Sedaris. Can you see that? I don't know if it's probably too small. Cassie. Is that her name? Cassie in it? I might be wrong, but I think Cole plays a character called Cassie in it. I love it. If you haven't seen At Home with Amy Sedaris, you need to watch it. If you've seen Strangers with Candy and you love that, which I love, definitely watch At Home with Amy Sedaris. It's one of the lesser known but like best comedies. It's been on for years. But yeah, that's who she looks like. She looks like Cassie. Is it Cassie? I need to be right. Is it Cassie? At Home with Amy Sedaris. Cassie? Yes, Cassie. Hey, I remembered something. Oh no, we're not watching that one, are we? We're watching this one.
And it was a place where boys had to be boys because that's all there was for boys to become as boys. But I had a bad habit of, all the time. My mother wasn't around. I was always trying on her dresses, putting on her makeup, smearing my face with makeup and things. And
we've all been there. I wish I had access to hair like that, though. I wish my hair did actually look like that. So now I realize, so she's obviously wearing a wig because we saw her before with the pixie cut, right? And now she's put a wig on. Or was it just... Oh, no, it was a wig the whole time. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I thought this angle, it looked more like a pixie cut. But she could pull off a pixie cut. She's very beautiful.
All the time, my mother wasn't around. I was always trying on her dresses, putting on her makeup, on leaves and liberties and things like that. I'd be running out and putting on skirts and makeups, long flowing wigs. It wasn't too many years ago. When I went to the grocery store once and got thrown into jail for being a female impersonator. And I've never felt as though I was impersonating a female, and so I am a female. How's Eric doing?
Fine.
Is he really?
Naturally. He's married to me. How else could he possibly do?
I don't know. I mean, he had so many problems.
I think we resolved that,
How?
Well, let's face it. It's obvious his home life wasn't very much in the first place. He was in service, And when I met him, that was back around, a few months ago.
I remember.
And
they're talking about her boyfriend, I think. And I don't think this girl, Cassie, her name's not Cassie, but I'm going to call her Cassie. I don't think Cassie, and I'm going to call her Dawn, the other one. I don't think Cassie likes Dawn's boyfriend. That's the impression that I get. But I want to hear your comments, guys. Leave a comment in the comments section does Cassie like Dawn's boyfriend? Let's find out.
Apparently things at home weren't going too well or something. I don't know. We've never discussed it really because I don't want to, bring up the subject. Let's face it, I'm working on dangerous territory. It's like walking across a bog of quicksand when you've got about a foot wide to walk on and you're afraid to make the wrong slip. Apparently, whoever his wife was, or whatever she was, she didn't play right with him. And when he met me, I didn't mean to be unfair about the thing, but I hadn't disclosed to him that I was actually a male. I assumed that he knew, because you know where I live, naturally, since you live with me, that there I am right in the middle of the Tenderloin at Eddy Street.
Oh, that's it. We don't get to find out anymore. That's sad. I really like those two. I wonder if there's any more information about them. So it says here, 2 trans women interviewed in Jonathan Raymond's Gay San Francisco, 1970. Footage for the movie was shot between 65 and 70. Let's just look at the comments. Someone says, this was very insightful. It was very insightful. Oops, I messed up the edit a bit. Yeah, you did. I was going to say that, actually, Archive Monroe. I mean, I'm grateful that you have archived this. You've done a great job. But there was that bit where she was talking about getting arrested for being a apparent female impersonator. We saw that twice. I was having deja vu during that section. John J3858 says, sad back then, cry. Yeah, real sad. Sad now, though. Still sad. Where's my crying emoji? Gabrielle Bernard 198 says, watch this chat with Boris Karloff and Doris Roberts. Maybe next time, Gabrielle. We're not doing Boris Karloff stuff today. And Worlds Collide says, look like a college project. Well, it was 1970. Sorry that not everybody had a flipping iPhone and knew how to... I'd like to see you set up a film camera and then develop it and then edit it together. It was harder to make films back then. Worlds Collide, you ungrateful little so-and-so. If you're watching this, Worlds Collide, I'm challenging you to a fight in a boxing ring. No, a wrestling one. We'll wrestle it out. I like this channel. Archival Monroe. Let's give them a shout out. Archival Monroe. Oh my gosh, it seems to be a lot of kind of trans stuff, I guess. Yeah, seems to be. I'm going to subscribe to Archival Monroe and possibly even come back to it. So everybody go and give Archival Monroe a follow, a subscribe, and also Wayback Archives too were really good. I'm going to subscribe to them as well. And yeah, that's it now. I have to go because my dinner's ready. I hope you enjoyed this format. I liked doing it. I think it gives the show a little bit extra sort of zhuzh. It gives it kind of a little different spice, doesn't it? Being able to just pull up the clips instantaneously like that. But yeah, next week it'll be a much more put together show. Next week I'll have a variety of different clips. Maybe it'll even be a bit longer. And yeah, if you haven't checked out my blog recently, I do have a blog. It's called lobotomyworld.substack.com, and I've been writing quite a lot of articles on sort of, you know, trans rights and the things that are going on at the moment in the world. And yeah, you can go read that if you want. You can follow me on Instagram at I'm Jen Ives. And just make sure you bloody well subscribe to this, okay? Because that's all that matters at the end of the day. All that matters is that I have enough people subscribe to this channel, and then I get to 10,000 subscribers, and then I can die happy. But if I don't get to 10,000 subscribers, I'll die with deep regrets. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon. Not if that bloody Donald Trump has anything to do with it. I'm watching you, Donald. Okay, I shouldn't say that. He's in the country. He's in my country right now. He's in the UK. I hope you have a nice week. Anyway, bye.